Before you start an oil change, I always recommend you open the fill cap, because if you can't get that open, you can't refill it. And before you laugh and say that's impossible, I've actually had my Dodge Charger, it was very difficult. I finally got it off, but I mean, it took a lot of force. So your oil filter is right in the front center with this little cutout. Of course, it looks like it's gonna drip onto the cutout rather than out of there, because great engineering. You can see this thing's hit that skid plate several times, but better than hitting the oil pan, which looks like it's right behind there. And there's your oil drain plug at the back of your oil pan. So it's there to there. So oil filter, oil drain plug. So it looks like the drain plug's in a good spot. It looks like the oil filter's going to be the one that's going to spill all into this little shield here, because they could have cut it out a couple more inches back. They didn't need this gap in the front. The only way that's going to pour there is if you jack the vehicle from the back. But maybe if it's on a lift, maybe it doesn't. But you know, most of you DIYers are not going to have a lift, so there you go. Also, before you begin, make sure you have the correct filter. For this vehicle, it's the FL500S and 6 quarts of 5W20, or in my case, I use 5 quarts of 5W20 and 1 quart of Marvel Mystery Oil, or some other additive like Lucas. I tend to kind of alternate back and forth, but anyway, make sure you have all that before you get started, particularly if this is your only vehicle, because once you get started, you drain that oil out, you're not driving anywhere. The drain plug was 15 millimeter. It's supposed to be torqued to 20 foot-pounds, or if you work at a quick lube type place, just impact it on until something breaks, because why not? Other thing is, this one probably should be replaced. The O-ring gasket there is pretty flat on this one. My guess is this has probably never been replaced. Fortunately, I didn't buy one, so this oil change, we're gonna stick with this, but next oil change I will definitely replace this. Sometimes you can get away with just replacing the O-ring if you have the correct one in your arsenal of tools. See, the oil's draining out, and I got this cool little mat that you can put out, and anything that misses the drain pan gets absorbed into there instead of making a mess. Which is nice when you're doing this in your own shop floor. I do all of my own maintenance pretty much, and I do it typically on a cold engine. And I know some of you are just cringe, and oh no, it needs to be hot so the fluids flow better. Well, you know what, I mean, I change stuff way more frequently than what the specification is, so I'm not really worried about it. But I always do it cold, that way it's safe, I don't get burned. If anything spills, it doesn't burn me or damage anything, whatever. So I work on it cold. I change my oil at most every 3,000 miles, sometimes sooner than that. So anyway, do what you got to do, but that's how I do it, and it's worked great for years and years and years. As you can see, I'm an old timer, been doing this a long time. There's 20. Just like there's no reason to over torque these oil filters. It's hand tight, plus you know, more than about a half a turn. That's one way to make this a little bit less messy, is pulling the oil filter outside of the metal. And hopefully it won't look like now it's going to drain into there and start spilling all over the place. Dab a clean motor oil and put it on the gasket O-ring of your new filter. It just helps it seal better and will help it not stick whenever you remove next time. I've been doing this a lot of years. I've never once had an O-ring stick, but I do hear people talking of that, and I'm guessing they didn't lube up the O-ring initially. And then again, hand tighten plus no more than about a half a turn. This filter was not wanting to go on. I started getting worried. I heard Ford Boss Me talking about bad 500 filters coming through, and then I was really worried, but then all of a sudden it started threading. So you seriously don't want to over torque these too much. They become a pain to get off. Just want a nice hand tight feel, plus like I said, no more than about a half a turn. But I think that's snug enough. The refill procedure is pretty straightforward. Start by pouring in 5 quarts. Let me know in the comments how many of you use a funnel and how many of you just aim really well. And then I usually go about a half a quart. So in this case I'm using the MMO. I like to use this at least once in a while to help clean things out. And I like to use the Lucas to help stabilize the oil. So that's roughly half a quart. Then we'll put the cap back on, start her up, make sure she's on level ground, which she is right now. We'll check the dipstick and then top it off accordingly. Just to show you the dipstick. See, it's got 2 holes in it, 1 quart low and full, so you basically, anywhere between them is good. I like to err on the side of getting it full. And when you're refilling your oil, it takes a while for it to settle down, so don't get too excited about seeing more oil on the dipstick than what it's supposed to have, because that'll usually settle down. So you wipe it off, reinsert it, and check it. I got a white paper because hopefully it'll be easier to see on camera. And where my thumb is, it's about a 1/4 inch at most below that dot there. So I'd say it's good, it's full. Put a full 6 quarts in, so I could put probably a little bit more MMO if I want. You can see it is full to the top there. So in my case, it took about 6 1/4 quarts to fill up, which is interesting. I've never needed to put in more. Usually there's some residual oil left over even after draining. But anyway, hope that was helpful. Appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and please tell your friends about my channel. Thank you very much.